invisible defiance, but was no less potent. His students, operating within mainstream society, carried his message quietly, yet their influence spread like ripples on the surface of a lake. And as these ripples grew, Gurdjieff's impact moved from small circles into the broader landscape of social consciousness. While Gurdjieff's teachings appeared subtle, their implications were anything but. By encouraging people to think and act independently, he was, in effect, challenging the fabric of social order. Anything but. By encouraging people to think and act independently, he was, in effect, challenging the fabric of social order.
Y'all hear that? He was encouraging people to act and think independently. We about to get deep on this one. Just stay tuned.
Independently, he was, in effect, challenging the fabric of social order. For individuals in power, the potential for such ideas to spread among influential circles posed a serious risk.
Damn right.
A person who questioned their identity, observed their habits, and cultivated awareness was less likely to conform without question. And
Did y'all hear that? Did you hear that? This is the problem that we have today in today's society. Play it again.
The potential for such ideas to spread among influential circles posed a serious risk. A person who questioned their identity, observed their habits, and cultivated awareness was less likely to conform without...
That's the key right there. A person... Hold on. I'm going to say it again.
Posed a serious risk. A person
who questioned their identity. Person. What is person? Persona. Which is a mask, a facade. A person who questions their identity. Who are you? Oh, I'm a child of God. Well, who told you that? The white man, the one that got me in captivity. See, you don't want to, see, that's the problem with the people. You don't want to question who you are. You don't know who you are. We just going by what you was told. A person who questioned their identity.
Observed their habits.
Observe their habits. Let's take a look at your habits. What are you doing day by day? How much weed are you smoking? How much liquor are you drinking? How much dick you getting, girl? You know what I'm saying? How much chocha you getting, dude? What are you doing? Are your habits consuming you? Or are your habits transforming you to be a better individual? People don't want to self-examine. Even Paul told you in Corinthians to examine thyself. Examine. Look in the mirror at yourself. See, we in a society today that everybody is so judgmental that we can just sit back and look and observe other people. But as soon as somebody observes you get butthurt. You know what I'm saying? You don't want nobody to observe you and tell you about yourself. That's why Jesus said, take the mote out your own eye. So that way you can see clearly to take it out your brother's eye. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to do that. You want to just talk crap all day and be judging other people. You better judge yourself. You better observe your own habits.
And cultivated awareness.
People don't have awareness nowadays. They think they do, but they don't. You still trapped in dogma. You still trapped in religion. You still waiting on a savior.
Was less likely to conform.
Conform to what? Conform to this mother sucking simulatrix. That's why you don't even understand the words that's coming out of my mouth right now, because you already been conformed and conditioned by your oppressors.
Without question, and a population filled with such individuals would be harder to control.
You hear that? You hear that? So if you had people that observed their habits, observed their thoughts, their patterns, their persona, their personality, question things, they will be a people that will be harder to control. Let's keep it moving.
What's your job? What do you do?
With such individuals would be harder to control. Authorities began to recognize the potential of Gurdjieff's influence as subversive. In the backdrop of the early 20th century, amid political upheaval, war, and economic turmoil, movements that encouraged individual empowerment could be perceived as destabilizing. In times of crisis, governments often seek loyalty and conformity from the masses. Valuing obedience, seek loyalty and conformity from the masses. Of crisis could be perceived as destabilizing. In times of crisis, governments often seek loyalty and conformity from the masses.
You hear that? In times of crisis. And this is the reason why the beast always allows some type of dumb crisis to happen. Now, everybody's saying right now, since Trump is in the office, 45 and 47, that equals 9/11. You add 4 and you add 5, that's 9, and you have 47, that's 11. So they're saying another 9/11 is on its way. That's what people are saying now. You know what I'm saying? So right here, you hear what he said right here. They allow crisis to happen so that way they can control the masses. Let me play it again. Hold on.
Empowerment could be perceived as destabilizing. In times of crisis, governments often seek loyalty and conformity from the masses, valuing obedience over self-awareness.
Valuing obedience. Remember the shirts, and they live. Obey. Okay? Obey. That's what it's all about. So they will promote fear, crisis, to get you to the masses now, the sheeps, those religious folks, those political folks, those non-thinking folks. You know what I'm saying? They create these disasters and these crises to get you to bow down and obey.
That encouraged individual empowerment could be perceived as destabilizing. In times of crisis, governments often seek loyalty and conformity from the masses, valuing obedience over self-awareness. Gurdjieff's teachings offered an alternative path, one that promoted inner freedom and intellectual independence over submission. Rumors spread that intelligence agencies and government institutions were starting to monitor radical thinkers and philosophers.
You hear it. Of course they are. Of course they're gonna start to here you go. Let me play
intellectual independence over submission. Rumors spread that intelligence agencies and government institutions were
starting to monitor. Here go the monitoring spirits, y'all. You see all these videos talking about monitoring spirits. But not once have you seen these videos that talk about monitoring spirits, they blaming it on the government. They always want to get religious with it. Bring Christianity into it. No, it's your damn government that's monitoring your punk ass.
To monitor radical thinkers and...
Who are they monitoring? Radical thinkers and philosophies or philosophers. If you still talking about Jesus on the main line, they ain't worried about your punk ass. Get out the way.
Philosophies concerned that teachings like Gurdjieff's could...
Now, I don't know if y'all ever heard of Gurdjieff. Of course you haven't. All you know is Jesus. But you don't even know him neither.
Radical thinkers and philosophies concerned that teachings like Gurdjieff's could lead to an ideological rebellion.
An ideological rebellion. They don't want you to rebel. They want you to conform. They want you to be a bot. Like my brothers.
While these rumors are difficult to confirm, there's no denying that Gurdjieff's ideas were seen as controversial. As his students spread his philosophy across intellectual circles, he found himself under a watchful eye.
Of course. Of course you're going to be under a watchful eye. It's called gang stalking, where they'll place you in a simulation where everybody around you are agents. Let me rewind it back and play it again.
Gurdjieff's ideas were seen as controversial. As his students spread his philosophy...
Now see, this is very important right here. As his students spread his philosophy. See, this is the reason why, some people come down to this matrix, as, teachers, right? And their duty is to wake people up. Their duty is to wake certain people up. Spread that information to your students, and then they'll make that, the teacher will make that transition and get up out of here and leave the information down with the students, and then the students will carry on the philosophy. We will spread, it's our duty to spread this philosophy to those that want it. Give not wishes holding to the dogs, neither cast your pearls to the swine. If you don't want it, to get the hell up out of here. This ain't for you. This is for the real chosen people. The woke, the ones that want to break about the simulation. You know what I'm saying? Everybody be spreading this, talking this stuff about this chosen. You chosen for what? Chosen to be a damn fool? Get your ass out the way.
Across intellectual circles, he found himself under a watchful eye.
You damn right.
And questions began to emerge about the consequences of his influence.
About the consequences of his influence. So now you become a target. You become a target because you're waking souls up. Despite
this surveillance, Gurdjieff's followers continued to explore and share his ideas in their own...
Despite the surveillance, I'm going to continue to do what I got to do.
...own ways. His teachings became a form of silent rebellion, encouraging people to challenge societal norms and expectations quietly.
Now you see that? You see that? He told him to do it quietly. Why was he telling him to do it quietly? Because he knew that this information is dangerous. What did Tupac say? Because niggas died over information. So you got to understand that, but in this day and time, though, you can't even do it quietly. Because I was doing mine quietly. I wasn't out here with no bullhorn, broadcasting. Yo, the government is trying to kill us. I wasn't doing that. I was just seeking information for myself. And these bastards still put me on the list. You see what I'm saying? So that right there just lets you know that they was already monitoring, tracking me from day one. Okay? So it don't matter if you was quiet or secret. They already had their eyes on you.
And as more people discovered his teaching, norms and expectations quietly. And as more people discovered his teachings, they began to ask themselves, what if Gurdjieff was right? What if, beneath the surface of our daily lives, lies an opportunity for true freedom? One that no system, government, or institution could ever take away.
Exactly.
This hidden revolution gained momentum as more people embraced self-awareness as a means of reclaiming their lives. The call to awaken from waking sleep resonated not just as a spiritual journey, but as a powerful personal liberation. Artists, scientists, writers, and thinkers who dared to break free from conditioned behavior found themselves drawn to Gurdjieff's ideas, spreading his philosophy even further. What made Gurdjieff's philosophy even more threatening to the authorities was its subtlety. He wasn't leading protests, starting a political movement.
You see that? He wasn't leading protests, starting a political movement. All that stuff is still matrix. That's still blue pill stuff. You know what I'm saying? What do you mean you want to start a political movement? For what? Why you out here protesting with a sign? You know what I'm saying? They ain't gonna do nothing. Everybody here bots. So who you talking to? These clowns out here, they love being a sheep. They even call themselves one. The scriptures told you not to eat. It says broad. It says broad is the way that leads to destruction, and many people gonna be on that road. So therefore, why would you follow the masses? Isn't that the Bible? What the Bible talking about? The Bible talking about them people. Broadway. It's gonna be many on that road, and that narrow is the way to life, and there's only gonna be a few. So if you really looking for the road to life, then you need to be follow. You shouldn't follow nobody, but I'm just saying you should be on the road where there's only a few people on. If you out here trying to follow the crowd, then you should know that you are headed for destruction. I'm headed for self-destruction.
Was its subtlety. He wasn't leading protests, starting a political movement, or calling for rebellion. Instead, he was planting seeds of awareness in individuals, encouraging them to see themselves and their reality with clarity.
That's it.
This form of influence was hard to trace and harder still to control. Each person who awoke to their own conditioning was another person stepping outside the bounds of what was expected of them. Gurdjieff's followers weren't loud, but their quiet...
Hey everybody.
...and self-possession spoke volumes. They didn't have to resist openly because their inner transformation was the act of rebellion. In this way, Gurdjieff's influence spread quietly, slipping under the radar while challenging the very foundations of conformity. As Gurdjieff's ideas spread, the attention on him grew. His teachings, once confined to intimate gatherings, began to spark wider intrigue and suspicion. And soon, questions about whether the authorities had started monitoring Gurdjieff became impossible to ignore. Could his philosophy of self-awareness and inner freedom really have posed such a threat that it warranted surveillance? As Gurdjieff's influence expanded, his teachings didn't just attract intellectuals, artists, and seekers, they also drew the attention of authorities who viewed his ideas with suspicion. In the climate of the early 20th century, where ideological conformity was highly valued, philosophies that promoted inner freedom and self-awareness could easily be seen as a threat. Gurdjieff's radical ideas were spreading quietly, planting seeds of independence and self-possession in his followers. But to the authorities, this subtle transformation posed a risk that was harder to contain. Gurdjieff's teachings encouraged his followers to view the world with fresh eyes, untainted by conditioning or societal expectations. He taught them to question their habits, to observe their reactions, and to notice how their lives were subtly molded by forces outside of themselves. In a world built on structure, routine, and control, these teachings weren't just ideas. They were revolutionary. A society made up of individuals who questioned everything, from their thoughts to their social roles.
But see, that's the problem right now. Nobody wants to question nothing. You 40 years old and you still believe in some shit that you learned when you was in fucking Sunday school. You believe it whole heart. Nobody can't tell you nothing. You already set in your ways. So therefore, okay, stay in your ways. But don't get mad when you having deja vu in your next life that you were down here before.
Would naturally begin to dismantle structures of blind obedience. Gurdjieff's philosophy was as much a structures of blind obedience. Would naturally begin to dismantle structures of blind obedience. Gurdjieff's philosophy was as much a quiet act of defiance as it was a spiritual path, and this defiance was difficult to ignore. For those who relied on conformity, the spread of self-awareness could destabilize the very foundations of social order. Gurdjieff's message didn't call for open rebellion, yet it offered a vision of personal freedom that could lead to a new kind of social consciousness, one that might ultimately disrupt traditional loyalties and expectations. Though the specifics of any government monitoring of Gurdjieff remain elusive, there is evidence to suggest that his teachings, along with those of other mystics and philosophers promoting similar ideas, were closely observed. During Gurdjieff's time, figures who advocated for alternative ways of thinking or social nonconformity often found themselves under scrutiny, particularly as political tensions rose worldwide. Documents from intelligence agencies during that era reveal that people advocating for unconventional beliefs, especially those that encouraged independence of thought, were frequently monitored. This was particularly true in times of upheaval, when any nonconformist ideology could be viewed as a potential threat.
So there you have it, y'all. And like I said, some of y'all out here being gangstalked. Some of y'all out here being gangstalked, and I wonder why. Because some of y'all not even woke. And so if they gangstalking you now, and you ain't even woke, I feel sorry for you when you do wake the fuck up. They really gonna be on your ass. And with that being said, y'all, holla back. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. We out this joint.